welcome to LoveBytes, the show where we debug romance. Now, I am not a doctor. I am not a psychiatrist.
I am not a patient.
I don't have a degree in sociology or psychology, but what I do have is wealth of experience and a sincere desire to help you. Because sometimes love can get messy. Sometimes, if you're not careful, love bites. Hey everybody, and welcome to LoveBytes with Unctious. Unctious, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well. I just realized just how not put together all your shit is all the time.
Woo!
You guys should see behind the stream, man. He looks like he's got his shit together when you guys are watching, but... How are you, Neil?
I'm great. So, as per always, tell us, Unctious, what are your qualifications to dispense love advice? Would you have a degree in, I guess you can't, are you a family therapist? Are you a marriage counselor?
No, I mean...
Qualifications?
This is it. Nothing. I don't have any qualifications.
Excellent. You can join my noble ranks of wildly unqualified. So before we actually go live, I do want to read out something from somebody. There are two things. One, I got a message from somebody who wrote a question ages ago. I couldn't even find the question that he wrote, who said, thank you for everything you've done. I followed your advice, and one thing led to another and quickly snowballed, and now we're engaged. So congratulations to the guy who just got engaged.
That's pretty awesome, man.
It's pretty awesome.
I wonder what episode he watched. I want to pinpoint the moment when everything just went well.
I'll try and find it. I only read it earlier today. So, and the second message I got was, "Hi, it's Connor from last week. After your show, I contacted her cousin, and those two had a talk, and my friend seems to be doing much better now. She explained why she cut off communication, and we're playing games together again. Thanks for the advice." This was a guy who he was talking to this girl long distance wise, and she cut off all communication, was being really quiet. And we, told him to talk to other people. Maybe they could help. And then apparently everything's fixed now. So awesome. Maybe we are actually doing something useful for the world. Maybe.
That's pretty awesome.
Or my mom is making fake email accounts to make me feel better. Which is probably the likeliest.
Which isn't a bad thing either. I mean, at least someone cares,
At least someone cares.
The very least.
So if any of you guys have questions, we could really use them this week. We're a little short on questions. Please send them to koibu@regalgoblins.com, or you can PM us on Twitch or Twitter. Feel free to send us questions. You can ask questions about to Unctious about how he feels to have a twin brother, or how that affects his dating life. They get him confused.
Twin brother, nonetheless.
Yeah.
One that I hadn't met until this year.
Yeah. But other than that, let's just hop right into the first question.
Oh boy.
Dear Neil and guest, so I've been dating a girl for about the last 3 to 4 months. When last week, as things were starting to get more serious, she abruptly ended things. She said she loved me and cared a lot about me, but was not emotionally ready for a relationship. In the meantime, she wants to remain friends with benefits until she's more emotionally stable. Her emotional instability is true, as it has caused issues with us in the past. I'm trying to decide if I should just go along with the friends with benefits for the time being and hope she gets herself together, or if I should just move on and look for a girl who is more stable. And it's hard because I really care about her as well and want her to be mine, but at the same time, I don't mind getting the benefits in the meantime. Thank you. Unctious.
All right, so there's a lot packed into that. I think first and foremost, you always got to remember that before anybody can be in any sort of healthy relationship, she has the right idea. You need to be in you need to be stable with yourself first. That's first and foremost. You need to have your own shit together before you can, begin to have something that is beneficial to both parties and is going to be healthy and sustainable. So that's a good idea. If she feels like she's not ready for a relationship, you gotta respect that straight up. Now, last time I was here, you might have figured out that I'm not one for the messy situations. I don't like putting myself in situations that can have a lot of weird loose ends and stuff like that. So the friends with benefits thing, in the meantime, I don't know if that's the smartest idea, mostly because there are still feelings involved. You're still it's kind of she's trying to be your girlfriend without having the label of it and without having like the responsibility that comes with officially being your girlfriend, right? Like, I don't know. It's like what creates, what do you think creates the separation between like friends who are having sex and like being in a relationship? Like
It's the concept of emotional responsibility, in my mind. Like if I've got a friend and we're just hanging out, and we're buds, but occasionally we head off into the bedroom and doink, like that's fine. I just my relationship with them is unchanged from being friends, except sometimes we express, we get out some physical needs. When you enter into the whole like relationship thing, then you start feeling obligated to spend time with them. For example, if I've got a friend with benefits, I'm like, you know what? I don't want to hang out. Like, I want to do my own thing. I just do my own thing. I'm like, sorry, dude, no time to hang out today. But if it's my girlfriend who's like, hey, can we hang out today? I miss you. Then you're like, yeah, I guess I have to hang out with you. Like, you feel emotionally responsible for the other person,
right?
in some regards, and you feel a little bit more pressure to kind of like there's this thing that you've called the relationship that you have to maintain, and it has to be like tended to and cared for. Whereas with a friend, it's like the amount of maintenance that goes into a friendship.
There's less responsibility overall. Like,
yeah. So if someone's not ready to like hop in and be like, yes, I'm there. Like I'm ready to care for you and tend to you and be there when you're sick and blah 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 blah. That's fine. Like the real question, the tricky part is do you maintain the friends with benefit, because then you're blurring that line. We're like, we should be dating, but look, I'm not ready for that yet. Let's just keep having sex anyway. It can be very blurry.
So what's the right course of action? I think if it were me, I would probably say, well, hey, I want to give you time, because I'm not sure that us continuing on this path of like having sex but still remaining like good friends when there's this promise of a relationship at some point is going to be healthy and stable for you. Like, I don't know if you are going to be able to grow in the way that you need to if we're still doing this thing kind of on the side.
Exactly. That's the real question there is, will the friends with benefit ruin any prospect of relationship? Will it damage your like current friendship? Or can you pull off being friends with benefits with someone who is a potential? Because it's one thing to be like, to have been dating someone and then to be like, well, screw it, this isn't working anymore, we're breaking up, let's just keep having sex. Like that's much easier too, because you're toning down the responsibility. Like you enter the friends with benefits with the assumption that things are going to get more casual, which is less and less stress. But if you're going from like dating or like trying to date to friends with benefits, but hold on, let's give it some time so that we can date in the future, you're not actually removing that stress. You're kind of like putting it off to the side, but it's still there, waiting and lurking in the background.
Yeah, not to mention that there's this like sense of like, there's the kind of question of like, do I still have that sort of emotional responsibility to this person because I know that I might in a few weeks have that, or if a couple months, that kind of thing, like that can create jealousy. Let's say she wants to go start hanging out with somebody else. Like, is that going to fuck with your friendship now because you still kind of feel territorial about it? Like, what happens in that scenario?
Yeah.
I think that's the kind of stuff that's really, really messy that I don't personally like to deal with.
Yeah. In this situation, I would say either like if you want a relationship with the girl, like if that's your primary goal, then be like, you know what? If you need your space, that's great. You need your space. You need to like develop into that emotional maturity or whatever it is. That's fine. Why don't we just like be friends? No sex. We'll just be friends, and if you're ready at some point, let me know. Otherwise, we'll consider ourselves single and free to date whoever we want. And I think adding that bit at the end, and we're free to date whoever you want, is a good thing, because then they know, or they get the impression that you're not just going to be sitting and waiting for them. Because if they think you're sitting and waiting for them, they're just going to keep feeling that pressure. So you need to alleviate any pressure. So.
And that's not fair to either person either. Yeah. Like having to sit and wait. It's not fair to you. It's not fair to her. It's like.
It's a shitty situation all around. So I either. Try for the relationship by not trying for the relationship, and offering to like investigate other relationships, or be like, you know what, fuck it, let's just be friends with benefits. Let's not date anymore. Let's just break up. But I still need to get laid. So why don't you and I like hit the sack while I look for someone else?
Yeah.
Like you should either. Those are the two routes I would go in my professional opinion.
Very experienced
matchmaker here. Yes. I expect engagement in 6 months. I want an invitation to the wedding.
Sweet. No, yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up. I like that a lot. I think that's a good spot to be.
High five. Yeah. All right, next question. I have literally had no success whatsoever with relationships. All right, now for the question. I'm kidding. Never mind that one. I am currently 21 years old and a male college student. I have had a few crushes on girls at school, yet I don't try to befriend them or even talk to them for that matter. This could be due to the fact that the only girl I asked out back in the 7th grade was back in the 7th grade and broke up with me after 3 days, and it may possibly be a factor into my fear of rejection and the general lack of experience. I was wondering if you had any tips or ideas how to start breaking out of the self-imposed barrier and start being able to interact with more women. Ben Bird, aka Nedula. Nedaula?
I don't know, man.
I don't know.
I can't read it.
Nedula. Nedaula. Ned.
Yep. Nope. Not gonna try. Ben.
Nidaula. Ben.
What do you think, Neil?
You're 21 years old. 7th grade would have been, what, 12 years old? So it's been 9 years since you asked out a girl last. And that was in the 7th grade, and she broke up with you after 3 days. Well, 7th grade, don't worry about it. 7th grade girls break up with everyone all the time. 7th grade boys break up with everyone all the time. How do you get over your fear of rejection and lack of experience? Well, at some point, you're just gonna have to do it and get your heart broken over and over again until you build up the tolerance. And you're like, fuck it, I can do this. Like, there's no trick. It's going to be difficult. You're going to get hurt. You will become a better person from it. Sorry that life sucks.
Yeah, I think you're getting caught up in this loop where you feel like it's kind of. I think you're getting caught in this loop anyway, where you feel like I can't do anything. I can't go out and meet people because I don't have any experience. I don't have any experience because I'm not willing to go out and meet people, and I can't do that because I don't have any experience. You know, it's just like this constant circle of being or getting caught in the circle of not interacting with other people. And when it comes down to it, the only way to get experience is to just do it. Like, you need to go out, gain some experience points, level up a little bit, grind out a few levels, and and then you'll have a better sense for it. Yeah. And the best way to do that is you're on a college campus. There's a million clubs probably that you can get into where like-minded people are going to be, people to meet. If you're into whatever you're into, if you're into robotics, I guarantee there's probably a robotics club on campus. If you're not into that, if you're into sports, if you're into like club sports or whatever, go for it. Go out for a team. That's the best way to meet people. And then you're going to have all these connections to people, and they're going to have friends, and their friends are going to have friends, and now you have access to a whole group of people that you didn't have before. And just in the process of being part of those groups, you'll be able to talk to people, you'll be more involved with people, and you'll start to understand that, girls aren't scary. They are literally just like you. We're all people, and we all have the same wants and desires for the most part, and we have the same worries and the same stresses for the most part. And once you remember that, Neil, there's this really cool video. I will link it in chat when I find it. This guy talked about making friends as you need to do the reversal. Like, stop trying to prove yourself to them and like stop trying to be cool enough to hang out with them. And then when you're talking to people, instead try to see if they're cool enough to hang out with you. Like, that's really what it's all about. Stop worrying about trying to impress anybody and see if, they're impressing you in any way.
Yes, that's a fundamental mind shift that is really good once you can make that. Once you're no longer in the position of like, self-doubt of like, can I make friends with these people? Once you're in the position of like, oh, hey, I'm here. Does anyone seem interesting enough that I actually like honestly want to hang out with them? Like, at that point, that's a good mind shift. It's really hard for me to make sometimes, but yeah, you're absolutely right, Unctious, and so is the person who made that video.
I'm gonna find it. I will link it.
You find it. I'll keep talking while you find it. So I would say the method to power leveling with relationships is, in my professional experience, one of two ways. Either you can just go balls to the walls and go up to a girl who you think you might be interested, but you don't really know, and be like, "Hi, my name is Ben. What's your name? Great, yeah. Would you like to go get coffee sometime? I would like to make some new friends, meet some people." And you can just do that, like the straightforward, and you're going to get hit with a lot of rejection right away, maybe, or it might work the first time. Who the fuck knows? It could be awesome, but you're gonna burn through a lot of people that way. Or you could do the like slow passive route where you go out and you meet new friends through clubs and through activities and through meetups and through all that fun stuff, and then you make friends with them first, and then after you've been friends for a while, then you move into the dating scene. Like you can either go date before friendship or friendship before date. And those are really your two avenues. And you have to decide which one is more for you. Like the friends before date is a little less stressful, it's a little bit easier, but it's also slower and it can grind at you more because then you spend like a year developing this friendship and then you ask them out and then they're not interested and now a year's gone by and you've invested all this time into this one person and you've got nothing to show for it. So it's a little bit harder. It's a little bit slower. But at the same time, it's easier on your psyche. However, going up and be like, "Hey, I'm Ben. Do you want to date? Or do you want to go get coffee? Do you want to go get ice cream?" Ice cream is always a good thing, guys. Oh, fuck this coffee. Fuck this lunch. Ask a girl out for ice cream. All right?
Froyo. Yo. Girls love froyo. I'm telling you straight up.
No, girls love ice cream. Everyone loves ice cream.
Girls love froyo. Dude, I'm telling you. There's like 3 froyo places on campus right now. Babes all day. Hanging out in the froyo area.
I guess if you're in college, you can go for the froyo. But if you want like a real grown-up woman, like a woman and not a girl, you go for the ice cream because we all know adults like ice cream.
Of course, yeah. All you old
people. Oh, my back. All that ice cream. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's the case. I think Neil's right too. It could go well if you just kind of dive in head first.
Yeah.
You're going to get a lot of experience real quick that way.
But you should just meet new people and make more friends and just try and be a more social person in general, and that will help you with the females. And just understand that you're going to get rejected. I promise you. I have been rejected many times. I have been interested in girls and gone out on dates with them, kind of like that I somehow finagled, and then they realized it was a date partway through, and then they didn't want to talk to me ever again. Like, that shit happens, guys.
And do you really want to be friends with that kind of a person who's going to freak out about that thing? No.
Yeah.
No,
and you'll feel bad. You'll feel bad for a long time. You'll always look back and be like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that on that date. What the fuck? Or you may feel bad for a little while, be like, oh, I really liked her. And months will pass, and you're like, damn it, she was so cool. I can't believe it. And then something else will happen, and you'll completely forget about it and move on. So,
yeah.
Welcome to life. It's an experiment. Suck it up.
That's a good way to put it. If you're not experimenting, then you're not doing it right.
Yeah. All right, question number 3. Hey, there is a female coworker that I'm interested in, but she has a boyfriend that works there too. Should I go for it? I worked there for about 5 weeks. I don't know very much about them. If I should go for it, give me some tips on how to start things off in the right direction. Anonymous
just because
from
there's
the
a goalie
UK.
doesn't mean you can't score, right? Like,
Oh. All right. Here's the thing. If your expectations and your goals are like a long-term committed relationship, no, don't even go for it, because if you can pull her away from him, then someone else can pull her away from you, right? So it's not worth it. But if you're just looking to have some fun and screw with some people, as I said, life isn't an experiment, and if their relationship can't handle it, you can take it away. It's not a very nice thing, especially if they're in like a long-term relationship. Be prepared to get shut down, to get beat up, and to get fired, but it's possible.
Dude, dicing with death is rubbing off on you pretty hard right now. You're like pure chaotic evil on this answer.
Yeah. If you're looking for the relationship, don't do it. Don't do it. It's a trap, of course. Come on, obviously. But if you're just looking to get laid, you're talking to the wrong show. This is love advice, not laid advice. But you know what? It happens. It really does happen.
Yeah, I would. I'm not really into the whole breaking people up thing, personally. I can imagine some people are, though, and if that's really what you're into, I'm not going to tell you not to do it.
Yeah.
Just make a reasonable decision. Also, the workplace thing, I don't shit where I eat. I talked about this last time. Like, it's really dangerous to get involved in the workplace. I don't know about that.
Yeah, be prepared to get rejected, beat up, and fired. I'm just saying.
In a day
like,
and a half.
It's... But do as you please. Yeah.
You'll be a hero. Let us know how it goes.
You'll be a hero to somebody. You'll be a hero to Unctious. That's what you'll be. All right. Moving on. I've had some friends who are girls that I really like, and eventually I had sex with some of them. Good for you. But not from the same group of friends. But even though I really like them, I'm not able to go to the next step and start a relationship. After that, things get really awkward and I don't really talk with the girl ever again, even though I really like them. Any tips on actually getting over the stage of one night stands with friends and being able to get into the girlfriend stage? Thanks, your friend.
Okay,
I
was the first part of that relevant? The fact that it was like a group of girls?
So I have
I,
some friends who are girls that I really like, and eventually I had sex with some of them, but not from the same group of friends. But even though I really like them, I'm not able to go. So it sounds like he's
okay.
got some female friends. They're not always in the same group. He'll have like one night stands with these girls, but can never make it to the relationship stage.
Yeah, okay.
And I would say, as a generality, is generality word?
Yeah, sure. I like it.
Generalism. That if you're going for the relationship, you should not go for sex first. That sex before talking about things will lead to one night stands and fun, but nothing substantial. But if you hold off on the sex for a while, you're more likely to get a substantial relationship. That said, I have never had a one night stand with a girl ever. Ever. Ever.
You really had to think hard for that one, man.
I just want to. There were some things that when we were friends before that, and we were friends after that, and we fooled around a little after that, but it wasn't quite a one night stand. There's some gray lines,
I think so. The question is really how to get out of that area once you're in it.
Yeah, like how do you get over one night stands and start having girlfriends?
I think you have to like straight up like invite her to hang out or go out to dinner or something. Like basically separate yourselves from the bedroom. Like you need to like create the separation there, right? Like every time you hang out, if you like invite her over, there's this like precedent for we're gonna get together and we're gonna have sex or we're gonna fool around or whatever. So I think part of the key of like showing her that they're or them, whoever it is, that there is something outside of that area, like that like event boundary, is to actually take her outside of it and say, hey, I'm gonna go grab dinner. Do you want to come? And then you can start talking. And then if you're already like, the question is, how do you make that separate too? Like, how do you make that separate from just two friends hanging out?
Yeah.
You could be like, hey, do you mind if I take you out to dinner sometime? It's a lot of it's in like the wording and shit.
Yeah. Yeah. And as I said, that was a generality, a generalism. The sex before talking doesn't like. I have a cousin he's married now, and the only way he met his wife was because they like kept meeting at the same parties and hooking up for a couple of years, and eventually like, well, maybe we should date. Like you can do the sex before talk thing, but generally speaking, it is more successful to talk and like start establishing like a dating routine before the sex thing, which is why they do
absolutely.
like the three dates rule. You don't have sex until the third date, something like that.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
Yeah. It's a general statement, applies to broadly, but is not perfect. But let these girls know that you're interested in them, as Unctious was saying. Take them out, do things with them that aren't sex.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, yeah, no, I think that's the key. Like separate yourselves from a place where you're going to have sex, and instead do other things. And if it's going to work out, it's going to work out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Let's.
Do we have more questions?
We have one more question that has come in, you guys, and then some more questions. We're running out. In fact, this is our last one that we've got right now here. More of a social life question. I am a socially awkward guy whose only real social interaction is with my family, mostly my twin. I've had very few real friends, about 3. Therefore, I have very little social experience. Currently, I'm too scared of interacting with people to actually interact. I can't deal with rejection. I want friends. How do I get them? Craft. I think it takes 3 gold blocks, a mithril block, and a couple of wood.
I've heard that if you just craft steel daggers, like hundreds of them, like eventually you'll be good to go.
Yeah.
No, I think in that case, I kind of wish I knew what age range this question was coming from. Because the answer is going to be kind of different in different age ranges, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think if you were to look at it as a generalism, you would probably. I think the fear of rejection is one of the most paralyzing things in the entire world. There are poems and books and songs all about that. Like that is one of the truest human things that someone can experience.
The entire Trojan War was fought over a guy getting rejected by a woman. The entire that lasted for 10 years. It defined like part of Greek, like that era.
It's literally called an epic. Like
It is. It's one of
it.
the epic poem. Like that was defined over rejection. It's a quintessential human experience. Continue.
So yeah, you're definitely not alone in that. And you have to remember too that other people might be nervous about interacting with you as well. So I don't know if you're in high school or if you're in college or if you're outside of it, but just get out there and meet people and talk to people. It's like that video I sent earlier that I linked in chat, and I'll probably link again because it's so awesome. Like the way that people know that you exist is by making noise. You talk to them. That's it. That's how they know that you're there. And by doing that, you're pretty much all set. Like yeah, I'll send this link. I lost my train of thought. Just by interacting with them, you're going to find people. You can kind of like shotgun approach it. If you find people that want to hang out with you, then you're going to find people that want to hang out with you. And just like that other guy earlier, like you need the experience to be able to get over that constant fear of rejection.
Yeah. So do look into areas where you have something that you're passionate about. Like, what are you passionate about? Are you passionate about video games? Go to like a video game shop and talk with, go to a GameSpot, or maybe not a GameSpot. What the hell? If you're passionate about video games, like you find people online, make friends on the internet, and that way you can like build up the friendship relationships, and then you can practice that way. If you're really into rock climbing, but you really just can't make any friends, just go to the rock climbing gym and keep climbing over and over and over again, and then you'll meet someone there. If you're really into Dungeons and Dragons, you can go to your local game shop and say, hey, I'm looking for a Dungeons & Dragons game. To like the guy who's behind the counter at the shop, be like, hi, I'm looking for a Dungeons & Dragons game. Is there anyone that needs a new party member? And he'll say like, well, every Thursday we have this thing. Come by on Thursdays, and then you'll show up on Thursdays, and you'll be shy, and you'll walk around, and you go up to the storekeeper again, and be like, hi, I'm here for the Dungeons & Dragons thing. Is there a party I can join? And he'll be like, well, here, those all the people over there. And you can be like, well, I'm really shy. Can you help me? And he'll like roll his eyes, and he'll sigh, and you'll feel even more embarrassed, but he'll walk you over there and be like, Tom, Jack, what's your name? This is a random guy 5. He needs to join a party, and now you're in a D&D game, and then will you make friends that way? But like, you can do this. Like, find things you're passionate about. Find where people who are also passionate about these things congregate, and then put yourself in that situation, and don't leave no matter how shy and embarrassed you are. Suffer.
And don't be afraid. Two things. Don't be afraid to do new things. And if you have a twin, fucking bring your twin. Hang out with like that. You'll have a buddy there that you're familiar with and that it's cool to hang out with. Mm-hmm. And like, I really
unless your twin is cooler than you. If your twin is then, much cooler than you, fuck him. Get rid of him.
Yeah, actually, if you could you might just want to lock him in the house or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Regardless, I want to kind of reiterate something that Neil said. Like, just be willing to try new things too. Like, if you don't know that you're passionate about rock climbing or something like that, that's still just a good way to meet people because so many people are willing to help you out. Like, that's the thing. Like, especially in places like rock climbing and D&D, people are willing to help you out. And if you just say, hey, I don't really know what I'm doing. Can you like show me what's going on here? A lot of people would be more than willing to talk you through things, help you out. Like, I think that's the coolest part. And that's a good way to make friends too, just because then you can say, hey, I really appreciate your help. Can I make it up to you sometimes? Like, do you want to grab food? Let me grab you lunch or something. I don't know. However it works, you can put yourself in a position where you're going to be interacting with people and you can interact with them outside of that context as well.
Do you think we've done that one justice?
I think so.
All right, let's move on. Neil, I need to know a good way to practice abstinence. All of these women, wherever I go, are practically begging me to #doink. How can I make it clear to the general population of straight females that I'm not interested? P.S. Unctious, the next time I go to Yukon for a party, would you mind being my wingman? Thanks, Razzle, sent from my iPad. I got this one, bro. I got this one.
All right, go for it.
Razzle, I know you're trying to, buff yourself up here, but you are the king of abstinence. Are you kidding me? This is the question that people should be asking you. Come on. What are you doing here, huh? Are you trying to make these other guys feel bad? We all know how sad and lonely you are, that you spend your countless nights watching my stream and getting too trashed to remember it in the morning. You need help with not having sex? Keep watching my stream.
I was going to say a chastity belt, but fucking that works too.
And you're bringing this upon yourself, buddy. If you're going to try and act like the man, I am going to call you out on your shit, so... Yeah, don't QQ.
The way this is sounding, I don't know if I want to be your wingman, Razzle. This is this is serious.
He's
shit.
actually pretty funny.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Well, then next time you're at Yukon, hit me up. Send me a DM on Twitter or something.
Yeah.
We'll hang out.
Let's go to a real question here. All right. Background, 20-year-old guy at university, Terran player. You're already starting off so strong. Terran player, the girls will be falling all over you. Who doesn't love some stimmed Marines? You know what I mean? Stimmed Marines can go for a while. I have very strong feelings towards a very close friend of mine. I've told her this, and we've talked about this sort of thing. She describes herself as asexual. She's very socially awkward and doesn't really like being around people, and yet since I told her how I feel, she seems to be putting more time into our friendship. We used to be lab partners and spend a lot of time working together, not really outside of the lab for very long, but now she comes and sees me in a far more social manner, and we talk, and it's fun, and we go and learn Mandarin together. Honestly, I don't know what I want to ask here. As I would do anything I could for this girl, and I love the friendship I have with her. I wouldn't trade it for anything, and yet I just want more, and I don't know how to deal with this situation. Do I try and move with my love life, or do I try and pursue this fruitless path to the bitter end? Is the path even fruitless? I really just need an outside perspective right now. Thank you so much, Dan. Well, Dan, she probably likes you for your Terran play.
Dude, that was a lot of like. It sounds like you're already convinced that that's going nowhere. You're like, dude, you are not in that to win
The
it.
ship
You're just
is sinking. Can I save the ship? There's a hole in the bottom of it, guys. So they're like, can I patch this ship somehow? It's cool. We're not laughing at you. We're laughing with you.
Yeah, no, that was super serious though. Yeah, I don't. She describes herself as asexual. I don't know if that's her just really like being completely uncomfortable with the idea of going further, or like it sounds like she's into you. It sounds like she wants to hang out with you a lot. It depends kind of on what you want out of the entire thing. If you're gonna be like, I wish I had more information about what she has said she's expecting out of it too. Like apparently you've talked about it. Neil, I'm gonna let you take over because I need to think.
Look, she says she's asexual. She could be. The very, very small percentage of the population is asexual. It's possible that she's one of them, or it's possible that she was saying that to relieve the pressure. Either way, until she says otherwise, you should go on that expectation that she is. To do otherwise would be rude. You know, you'd be thinking that you're no better than her. Blah blah blah. Like, if she says she's asexual, believe that she's asexual until you have reason to believe otherwise. On the other hand, you guys weren't very close friends, and then you're like, "Hi, I really like you," and she's like, "I'm asexual," but then starts hanging out with you all the time. Like maybe she's like a deer in the headlights and is finally warming up to somebody. If you honestly feel that there is no hope for this relationship, that's fine. If you love her beyond belief and you would be with her for 1,000 years even if you couldn't ever have sex with her, then keep doing what you're doing. You know, yeah. But if you need sex in your life, like 99.9% of the population kind of needs sex in their life, it's a biological urge. Some might argue that the only reason that we exist is to have sex and reproduce DNA. Is kind of a scary thought in the end. Then maybe you should seek somewhere else, or maybe you just keep being friends with her. And, you know, you can build this friendship while still pursuing other avenues. And then at some point, when you're like, "Oh yeah, I was asking this cute girl out," and she's like, "What?" Then you can be like, "Oh, were you interested in me? Because you said you were asexual and you just wanted to be friends." So I thought, and then she's like, yeah." And then you can then get body reads on her and be like, "Oh, actually, she was into me." And then you can.
It's all about the body reads.
It's all about the body reads. Give me your 5-second read on this girl, Unctious.
I'll tell you. I think we need to remember that like you can be asexual and still want like the romance. You could still have you could still be into like the romantic part of a relationship and be asexual. Like that's not like those two things are not necessarily separate, you know, or are not necessarily together. Rather, they can be separate entities. So if you're really into this chick and you want to be friends with her and you want to like have a romantic relationship with her, fuck it, stay in it. But you have to weigh out, like Neil said, you have to weigh out what your priorities are and what you want and what you think you can get out of it on the whole. Since you're not in a relationship yet, don't feel terrible about, you know, trying to figure out if there are other girls around you that you'd be interested in. Because like Neil said, you know, that's not necessarily going to be a bad thing. Especially like you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket and then find out that basket's just, you know, there's a hole in the middle and it's on the sinking ship that has the hull broken and the Titanic's going down and there's a dude falling off and hitting the side of the boat. You know, like yeah, you don't want that.
No.
Just remember, it depends what you're in it for.
Yeah, also, you're 20 years old at university, so probably over... Oh, yeah, and definitely in the UK. This is your opportunity to go out and experiment with life, you know? You like this girl, you have really strong feelings for her, stay being friends with her, but also, you know, make sure that you keep expanding your social circle and meeting new people. You might meet some other new people. You might join a new club and meet a new girl who you then develop stronger feelings for. You know, you can go into these... you can stay having this thing with this girl and still focus on that while exploring other options. Like that, just because you have feelings for someone doesn't mean that you can't expand your social circles. Social circles are always good to expand, and then that will help you make these sorts of decisions later on, because you might meet someone or you might not meet anyone, or maybe this thing with this girl develops more quickly than something else. Like, diversify your investments. Okay, it's really bad to invest everything in one sort of commodity, because if that commodity tanks, then you're fucked, right? So, econ for the win.
Yeah, that's it, man.
Econ for the win.
Take Econ 1000 and your love life will be easy.
Yeah. Boom. Done. Next one. Over the years, I've asked a few female friends if they'd like to go on a date with me. Normally they say, yeah, sure, but later they tell me they're busy or something else along those lines. Is there a specific way to ask someone out, or is it just because of something else? Thanks, Navi. The Navi. The actual Navi.
Listen! Hey! Listen!
I don't know.
I think, just be casual about it. Be cool about it. I think it's shitty that they would tell you yes and then like pull out later. Like, I think that's kind of crappy. Like, if they weren't actually invested in it, they should have said no right up front. So that's the first thing I wanted to say. I think that's a really crappy situation. And if anyone ever asks you out and you're not interested, you should just say, hey, that's really sweet of you, but I'm kind of not into it. Or I'm kind of not. I'd rather just be friends.
Yep. It's cruel in the short term, better in the long term.
So, what else was I going to say? I was going to say that he was asking how to ask someone out on a date.
Is there a specific way to ask someone out?
No, there is not a specific way to ask someone out.
No.
I think one of the best things that I was always taught was like, don't be like, hey, do you want to grab dinner? Or don't make the event about that person. You can just say, hey, I'm about to grab some food. Would you be down to come? Or if you actually want them to know that you're trying to ask them out on a formal date, you could say, hey, I'd really like to grab dinner with you. Would you mind coming with me? Or something like that. There's a million different ways. I don't know. It's really malleable.
You don't want to be seen as. You don't want it to make it look like you are doing something for them. You want to make it look like you guys are doing something together. The whole concept of a relationship is that you're building a team with another person,
Yeah.
And that team eventually develops into marriage at some point, in theory, or not, whatever, however you please it. But like the idea is that you're working together, like that you are stronger together than you're apart. If she's the leader of the team and you're just like the follower who's there to like try and boost her up, that you're not in a relationship. You're a support role for a hard carry, and the hard carry is just going to dump you for another hard carry who's already leveled. So, ask her out, but put yourself forward. And sometimes people will actually okay. Story time. Short story time.
Oh,
so
yes.
I was courting this girl that I was really into, and and I was like, hey, do you want to go ice skating in like a week? And she's like, oh, I can't do it in a week, and blah, blah. So we talked. It was like, all right, 5 weeks out from now, we both have time. And I kind of thought this was a blow-off thing. And so I didn't want to push it too hard. So 2 weeks later, I was like, yeah, cool. You still down for ice skating? All right, nice. And then I didn't say anything, So it was like 3 weeks between the last time we talked about the date and the actual date. And the day of it comes, and I'm on, 2 hours before we're supposed to meet. I'm like, great, I'll see you in 2 hours. And she's like, what? What are you talking about? I'm like, our ice skating. She's like, oh, I thought you didn't want to do that anymore. I have plans. I can't go. Like, I'm sorry, something came up. It's like, oh my God. So it turns out that actually she was into me. Like, I'm dating her now. It was just a matter of what am I trying to say? It was a matter of not the communication wasn't there. So sometimes girls will say that they are busy and can't make it, and it's true, they can't make it. We tried to reschedule the ice skating 3 times, and she blew me off 3 more times until it finally worked, and then we went out, and it was great, all right? It fucking worked in the end, but sometimes people really are busy. Sometimes shit does come up. And sometimes the girl may be like, yeah, I kind of want to go on a date with this guy, but it's a really low priority, and this other thing's happening. She's like, oh, you couldn't make it? Whatever, it's fine. Well, what if we reschedule for this time? And then she'll be like, yeah, okay, we can reschedule for that time, and then you'll go out on that time. Or she'll be like, oh, I don't know, that's, you can have it. Like, if she blows you off, and then try and get the reschedule, follow up with it, because if you don't follow up, you're going to just sound like a pushover who's like, oh, you couldn't go out? All right, never mind. And they're not going to, you don't have a backbone, they're not interested in you. Like, go for the follow-up. And if she's like, no, I'm sorry, I'm busy, I can't make it, then you're like, oh, okay, you're just a bitch who's not going to tell me straight up that you're not interested in me. It goes both ways. Guys, don't do that shit to girls. Girls, if a guy keeps dodging you, he's a bitch too, all right? Slap him.
I was gonna say, Neil, that's kind of a dangerous story to tell in certain situations because, like, you don't want to give people the impression that if they just keep asking the same person over and over and over again after, like, it doesn't work out, that, like, eventually it will, you know?
Yeah, you want to
be
follow
smart
up.
about it. Be cognizant. You definitely want to follow up, but you also don't want to, like, overwhelm the person and be super, super clingy about it, you know?
Yeah. Don't be clingy, but do go for the follow-up. Be relaxed, follow up, be responsible, be cognizant, be perceptive, roll high in your perception checks.
Yeah, always.
Always. All right. Hello, Neil and guest. I've had a bit of experience interacting with girls, no real issues there. However, starting conversations with a girl is a whole nother issue. For example, there's a beautiful girl who rides my bus route to some mornings, and all I can manage to do is stare at my phone and play Tetris. I was wondering if you have any bus talking techniques. Also, she's always listening to her iPod. How can I get her attention without being too creepy? Thanks, Anonymous. Unctious, how do you talk to girls on the bus?
Okay, first things first, if someone has their, like, headphones in, that's kind of like a don't bother me signal, at least in my head. Like, if someone has their headphones in, I'm not really going to go super, super hard out of my way to try to make conversation with them because that's kind of them saying, you know, I'm in my own zone, I'm doing my own thing. I don't really want to interact with people, in my experience. If there is a chick on the bus, I would probably make conversation about... I would not start with like, hey, I think you're really pretty or something like that. I think that can be kind of that's a bad starter. It does two things. First, it kind of says what your intentions are and what you think about her as kind of like, you know, in kind of a really, really superficial way. But also, two, the first thing that she's going to be thinking about when she's looking at you is your looks. If you talk about her looks, you know, then she's going to immediately, her attention's going to be drawn to it as well. So instead, I would start a conversation about something in the vicinity, or I'd ask a question, or
That's a fucking clever way of... If you talk about their looks, they're going to be looking... I have never thought of things in that way. Like, what you bring up is what they're going to be looking at in you. That is fucking genius, Unctious.
Right? So that's...
Holy shit, that is a revolution in... Hold on, I need to contemplate now. Keep going, man.
Yeah, no. So I would just, you know, you can make small talk. You can just... People will be surprisingly receptive if you just do it super casually, as if talking to somebody on the bus is what you do every day, like that's just part of who you are, then it's gonna be fine. Like you sit down, you say, hey, how's it going? You know, that stuff's totally cool. Don't creep her out with like being super focused on her. Let it just be a casual thing. And if you have a nice conversation because of it, then there you go.
Yeah. I agree. If she's got her headphones in on the bus, I wouldn't try too hard there. You could probably get away with trying once, maybe sitting down next to her and striking up a conversation of sorts. But if after once, if she's clearly like, huh, what? Oh, okay, that's nice. Then, you know, don't bother. Because I've been on the bus before and like had my headphones in because I want to listen to music and not just be sitting on a bus doing nothing. And if someone had sat down, like if a girl had sat down next to me, like, hi, I'm Nancy, what's your name? I would have been like, oh, hi, Nancy, I'm Neil, how's it going? And, you know, like, that thing can happen. Sometimes people are just having headphones because they're just
That's part of the routine. That's part of the routine of being on the bus.
Yeah, it could go either way. As for bus talking techniques, that's a really hard situation to approach people. I take it you guys are going to school together, so she's going to hop off. Maybe you can instead, I guess you don't have her in any of your classes, otherwise you would have mentioned that. Random girl on the bus, that's a hard one.
Yeah, it's just like, I think the biggest thing that if you're going to do it, it needs to be super casual. It needs to be like something that you do every day. It shouldn't be like you're picking her out of a crowd and trying to talk to her, because that can come off as really creepy, and that can be problematic. And it kind of puts her on the spot too, because if there's other people on the bus, she's going to be worried about people, looking at the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like the bus is not a place where you can have a conversation and not have anyone overhear it. So.
Yeah. All right. I think that's the best I can do. Do you got any more for this?
No, I think that pretty much sums it up.
Okay. New question. Is getting your girlfriend one of those bad Dragon dildos a bad idea for shits and giggles as a gift? I have got this question in advance. I have looked it up, but the Bad Dragon is actually Bad Dragon. It is a series of dildos produced from this website that are shaped like monstrous creatures. There's like tentacles. They're fucking weird. I'll post the link in chat. This is a very strong, not safe for work link, guys.
These are awesome.
Not safe for work, okay?
Why is there ginger ale in the back of this picture? Why?
Very not safe for work, okay?
Why is this in the
Very
picture?
not safe for work. For those of you on YouTube, it's bad-dragon.com/products. So here's the question is it a bad idea to get one of these things for your girlfriend as a gift, like as shits and giggles gift? It depends on your girlfriend. That entirely depends on her personality. I am of the opinion that if you've been dating with someone for a while and you're like, I kind of want to get this for them as a gag gift, go for it. Because if you're interested in, like, if you think that would be funny, and they, like, what's the worst case? They're like, oh my god, this isn't funny, John. I can't believe you think getting... the worst thing that they're gonna do is they're gonna be like, they're gonna be awkward and be like, do you want me to use? And you're like, no, I just thought it was funny. Shit, this didn't go over well. And then it'll be a funny story you tell 20 years later when you're like, I was dating this girl and I got her this bad dragon dildo and she freaked out and we broke up. Ha ha ha. She totally wasn't the one for me because she didn't, like, the one for me would actually enjoy that sort of thing. So, yeah, I would say if that's something that you think would be funny, it should probably be fun with the girl. It really depends. Like, there's no one but you can answer that question, unfortunately.
I think it's a good idea. Go for it.
Yeah. All right. Next question. Over the years, I've asked a few female friends if they'd like to go on a date with me. Normally they say, oh, okay, this is the same question asked in 2 different places. Boom. Moving over.
Nice.
The intro said you were a medically licensed man. No, I am not medically licensed. I am not a doctor.
You're not?
I am not a doctor. I have recently taken to applying deodorant to my nether regions. It's wonderful and I can't recommend it enough. However, with this effective burn sensation part of any ladies should, will this affect / burn the sensitive part of any ladies should I happen to doink?
Wait, what was the
question? He's putting deodorant on his crotch and he's wondering if he's wondering if it's going to hurt the girls as they doink.
Are we talking like Gold Bond or
look,
like
dude, ask your doctor. I am not a medically licensed man. You need to go speak to a professional about this sort of shit and read the warning on the deodorant and use common sense. But go fucking talk to a doctor about this shit. That is not what I am here for. I am
At least
sorry.
your junk is gonna smell great. I don't know. Like whatever happens, like
unless he's using like Axe and just spraying it on.
just spray.
That's the quickest way to get a girl to puke on you. Yeah. All right. We got time for a few more. Dear LoveBytes. Oh, that's how you should address. Not dear Neil. Dear LoveBytes. That's a great way of doing this. Well done, random writer. I'm 24. My wife is the only woman I've ever slept with. I'm now finding this unrelenting urge to want to experience different women, and I'm very faithful, but I want to combat this urge. Any advice? Ooh. Oh, that's a great question. So, you're 24, you're married, your wife is the only woman you've ever been with, and you're getting this biological urge to go sleep around. You know what? First off, don't feel bad.
That's natural. That's normal. That happens.
Yeah.
People have this idea that like humans are like always going to be monogamous and their lusts are going to be monogamous too. I don't think that's true. I don't have like a scholarly article for you to prove that, but I just don't think that that's the case. At least not at first.
No, even monogamous animals, like animals that are like, typically known to be monogamous, they still cheat on each other. Like they stick together in pairs for life, but they actually sometimes still go and doink other people. Like it's a thing. People do the same thing all the time. You're 24. This may be a difficult conversation to have, but it's something that you should bring up to your wife. You should say, sweetheart, I love you. You're my moon and my stars. You're the best thing in the world for me. I would never want anything to hurt you, and you're all that I care about in the world. But I keep having these desires to sleep with other people. Not anyone specifically, but I feel the need to like experience more than one person, and I don't want to hurt you, and I have no intention of going through with this, but I need to let you know what's going on in my life because it's important to me, and we're married and we're going to be together forever, blah blah blah. So it's important that you know how I feel. And she'll come back and she'll say something like, wow, thank you for being honest with me. I really don't want you to ever sleep with another woman before. And you can be like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Or she might be like, well, that sucks. You know, I've only ever slept with you. I kind of want to sleep with another guy before. Maybe we should try something. Or you can have a conversation. Maybe your wife is interested. Maybe you two can have this sort of discussion and then bring in like a third party into the bedroom. Or maybe you can agree to be like, well, we've been married for 5 years now. We got married when we were 19. How about we take a 1 month break and we both bone everyone else that we possibly can in a month, and then we come back together? I don't think that's going to happen, but it's a possibility. Like, have this conversation with your wife. As for ways to combat your lust for other women, Unctious?
I don't think that's a thing that you combat. Like I think that's just a thing. That's part of being human, and you like that lust is something that's going to be there, and managing that is like you can do that through like masturbation or sex with your wife or whatever it is that like sexual lust is not something that you just turn on and off. At least I don't think it is. Like it's not a switch.
It's not a switch. I do have one question for you. How sexually satisfied are you with your relationship with your wife? You may have an issue where you aren't being, your sex with your wife isn't that great, or it's not often enough for you, or something like that. Like maybe your sexual relationship with your wife is lacking, and if it were better, you would feel less lustfully towards other people. So that you may want to invest some time and energy into sex with your wife. Figure maybe you're both too shy to tell the other one that you want to do all these other things. Like maybe you both harbor like deep desires for all this kinky stuff, and you're just really embarrassed and ashamed by it. Which, first off, don't be ashamed by it. People are weird. Fucking your wife is weird too. I bet. I don't mean anything by that though, sir. I really don't.
Yeah, I bet she is. Yeah, you're right.
I honestly mean, but everyone's weird in some regard, So have this conversation with your wife somehow. Maybe you guys need to start bringing in some sex toys into the bedroom. There's apparently some bad dragons out there that could help you with that. Maybe you guys need to start going. Maybe you need some outdoor sex. Maybe you need some like underwater sex. Maybe you need sex, where other people might walk in at.
Or some
Who the fuck
combination
knows?
thereof.
Yeah, but like I would, depending on how your relationship with your wife, maybe that's an area that you should improve. Maybe not. Maybe it's perfect. Maybe you guys have sex 5 times a day and it's the most mind-blowing experience of your life, but you still need other women. Like, there's a lot of room here. But I would speak to your wife.
Something I was going to say too was okay. Well, actually, 2 things. First and foremost, I know we're going to wrap up in a couple seconds, so I'm going to try to make this quick.
Mm-hmm.
Communication with your wife is key. I think though that what Neil suggested right off the bat was like saying to your wife, "Hey, I want to do other chicks." That could be a dangerous territory, and that could be nervous. It's really about how strong you think your trust between you and your wife are. If there's like communication problems between you, that's something that needs to be resolved before you might be able to communicate these things to her in a reasonable way. The second thing is, I was going to mention also the idea is maybe you're not sexually satisfied with your wife, and if not, then that's a conversation that you should have. You try to figure out what do I want from my significant other, and what can I do for her to maybe make her more sexually satisfied as well. Like how do we make this a mutual thing where we can grow together?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's pretty sick. Yeah, good work.
Yeah, that's true. Communication is the cornerstone, are all the cornerstones of a relationship. Like, seriously, you cannot have a successful long-term relationship without amazing communication. And you will have communication breakdowns, and then you have to work your way through it. It's hard.
And don't bring other people into the bedroom unless you trust each other a lot.
Oh, yeah, a lot. A lot. And if you're going to do the bringing other people in the bedroom thing, you need to work out the exact specifics ahead of time. Something like she gets to pick a couple of candidates, and then you get to choose the exact one, and then, blah, blah, something like that. Or if you're bringing a guy in, you pick the candidates, and then she picks the one, or something like that. Like, you got to work out some details, some ground rules, who's going to focus on who the first time. Like, that shit can get fucking complicated. I've theory crafted a lot about this. Lots of theory crafting. Notice how I'm just saying theory crafting,
Excel
guys.
charts.
Excel charts. Talk to some EVE Online players. They'll help you set up spreadsheets that will figure everything out. It's basically all they do all day.
You don't need to redo that work. Somebody's done it for you.
Yeah, someone's done the work for you. Google is your friend. Google how to get a 3-way with my wife and someone else.
There's movies about that. I've seen them.
Yeah.
Anything else? Last thoughts?
That's it. I think I don't know if we can squeeze in any more.
I'm down for more. It's
all right. We can squeeze in one more. We only have 3 minutes. Okay. Hey, Neil and Unctious. I'm 24 and I've never been in a serious relationship. I want to get into a serious relationship right now, but on the first date, the past relationship question came up, and I can't seem to get the second date anymore. What can I do to fix this, as dating doesn't seem to be fixing the current problem? Help, please. All right, so you go on a first date, they start talking about past relationships, and apparently you never get a second date after talking about past relationships. You could do the sort of thing where you're like, well, I've done X, Y, Z, you can be vague, or you can be vague and say, I don't really want to talk about that, or you can, maybe downplay some aspects or upplay some aspects depending on where your weakness is in the situation. If you're getting killed on the past relationships, you might want to, when you're at dinner, avoid the topic. And if it gets brought up
Yeah.
anyhow against your will, you can be like, well, I've had some experiences before, but I prefer not to talk about my relationships or hear about your relationships on our first date. I mean, come on. You can make a joke out of it somehow. You can say at the beginning of the date, like, "Hi, let's do an unusual date where we don't talk about the normal things. We don't talk about past relationships or this thing or that thing. We actually instead do this other stuff." You can
By the
start
way,
it out
I
with
found
a
this
quirky
sick
date.
site called Bad Dragons
Yeah, yeah.
on first date conversation.
Yeah, you can do the whole like let's have a really unusual first date that's unique and interesting, and we don't, instead of discussing the normal things, we discuss like more personal details, like, hey, what's your favorite color? What's type of, like, you get to really know each other, or you can like do some, you change the topic so that sort of thing doesn't come up. You can have like a themed date or something. There's ways to avoid the topic if it's killing you here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even. I would have trouble believing that that topic is the one thing that's killing your dates. Like I think maybe it just wasn't working out, or maybe because you're nervous about the fact that you haven't had a relationship before, you were particularly nervous when you were saying those things, and like that kind of might have like colored how you said it. It could just be as simple as, yeah, I haven't been in like a serious relationship before. Like this is. And don't tell her like, you're going to be my first. Just be like, I haven't had it before, and let it just be a date, because that's what it is. You're opening up to each other.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, that's it. On the stream is Mafia in like 2 minutes. So we'll be right back with Mafia. See you guys later.
Later, dudes.
Bye.